So, on St. Paddy's Day, obviously, we celebrate big. We absolutely love it. I have an actual Irish woman with us today. I do. Drogers, singer-songwriter. Wonderful to have you back.
It's a joy to be here, Sandy. Thank you.
All right, so it's not often that we actually get an Irish woman. You know, in America, we're this melting pot. We have a mix of all kinds of things, but you're pretty much pure Irish stock, girl. How did this happen?
This is true. It's an amazing story. I don't remember much of it, but my parents met in California, but they actually traced their lineages back to the same wee glen in Ireland in the county of Tipperary.
Okay, this is the oddest thing ever, because what your grandparents, your great-grandparents,
my great-grandparents came over during the famine in the 1850s and in the mid-1800s.
The potatoes went bad, right?
Yeah, very bad. It was a terrible time for Ireland, and that's when the huge immigration began over to the United States. And there are far many more Irish in the United States than there are in Ireland, or than there perhaps ever were, interestingly enough.
No kidding. Well, and it's we're a larger country, so I guess there's more room.
Yes, and the Irish love America and the Americans, actually, which is sort of nice.
I love it, which is very, very nice. But then again, you know, your parents, then they, as you said, they were in California.
They met in California, and it turned out that both of them were from the same little, and we're talking the smallest little wee glen. In County Tipperary, it's called the Glen of Aherlow. And it's a mile long. It's absolutely beautiful.
And here they did, like second, third generation.
Third generation. My mom was from Oregon. My dad was from Kalamazoo, Michigan. And here they meet in 1945. My dad's a Marine, you know, El Toro Naval Base and all this. So it's really quite romantic. And you sort of think of a fate. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, that's fate. I don't care what you say. I mean, come on, that is like too eerie.
Yeah.
Okay, so St. Patrick. Who was this guy, and why is this become such a big thing to celebrate St. Patrick's Day?
You know, it's interesting that because he is so beloved, and in Ireland, I must say, up until about 1975, it was such a holy day that the pubs were closed. People didn't. I mean, they didn't have the revelry that Americans, the American Irish, are a little bit more famous for. They had. They just had a simple meal, and the pubs were all closed, and they honored their saint. But this man is amazingly loved. You know, he's not only the patron saint of Ireland, he's also the patron saint of oh goodness, it's not Kenya. It's Nigeria. Thank you.
No, wow, the guy got
I think of West, East Coast. Which one? Yeah. So and he's just beloved.
And
in
this
fact,
was hundreds of years ago, right? When he went to Ireland?
Oh, yeah. He was born in 431. Oh. And he died the next century. He was a boy of 16, a very privileged boy in Gaul, Britain, essentially, and was kidnapped. Oh. And taken to Ireland as a slave, and made a slave for 6 years. And then he escaped, came back to Ireland, and in a dream, he heard the Irish people calling, saying, "Irish youth, come back to us."
Wow.
And so he went back. And Patrick is most special in my viewpoint because he was so compassionate and so just down to earth, forgive the, you know, our modern colloquialisms. But he was just gentle. He introduced them to someone he felt was worthy of their gaze.
Which is interesting. He took the pagan Celts, basically, and turned it into kind of an amalgam, but definitely brought Christianity to the island and changed, you know, centuries of the way they had practiced spirituality, religion.
But without negating or dissing, as it were, the aspects of the Irish culture which were.
And I read a most fascinating book one time, and it was definitely that, you know, they put it together. So the celebrations finally started. Finally, Ireland got in on them, I guess, after 75. But they celebrate St. Patrick's Day all over the world. I heard today that our New York St. Patrick's Day parade is literally the largest in the world.
Oh, it is. Oh, yes, it is. And it's the first also. Do you know that the first St. Patrick's Day parade was in the United States of America in 1762 in New York City?
Oh, my.
And it was a lot of
the immigrants who had
come over. And they began to celebrate, and they never stopped.
Well, we've got a lot of pictures. We'll just roll these from Canada and Montreal.
Oh, absolutely.
Like all over the place.
Oh, that's Savannah, Georgia on the screen right now. I don't know if they're showing the screen.
Well, and I think the Americans, as you mentioned, the American Irish, pretty much were celebrated St. Patrick's Day in the pubs, kind of from the beginning.
Yes, but it's interesting because an Irish friend of mine we were talking about this whole issue, and he said the music came first. The music has always come first among the Irish, and I must attest to that. The drink was added. So the Irish have a funky reputation about their love of the drink. It's really exaggerated. I mean, it's really blown out of
It's like one of those ethnic things where we grab onto that and we just keep it.
Oh, yeah,
So you speak Irish. Now, I didn't know if it was Gaelic or Celtic or whatever it is, but they just like it to call Irish. How do we say, I wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day in Irish?
Well, one would say Lale Padrig Sunagwich.
Oh my goodness, that is it's completely not understandable to us. It's
You should try to read it. Phonetically, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
You wrote a poem song, and I'd love to have you start that and just take us out on this beautiful Irish.
I'd be delighted. I've got to get a sip of water here.
Yes, because that is what the opening and the closing music are Deirdre's beautiful music that you do.
It's my honor. And this is a song about Patrick's life. I was just 16 years old when first they came for me, wandering my father's farm that overhung the sea. I was a lad of wealth and promise, with my future plans so right. But my, how life did change for me that strange, surprising night. Well, the pirates